is an awkward moment or an awkward encounter or experience. This was a challenging album for me to cover, maybe because I don't typically listen to this genre of music regularly, but I had to listen to this album and the songs a couple times to grasp what I was listening to, and I had to fully immerse myself in the music. But after watching Taylor's interview with Apple Music after Evermore had been released, I was able to connect the dots a little bit more and understand the concept of the album. And what I gathered is that Evermore is a collection of stories that share an extension of Taylor's feelings, but she herself isn't necessarily the main focus. Like, her personal life isn't the main focus of this album, like maybe some of her other albums in the past. But if you're watching this right now, I would love for you to fill me in on how you felt about this album and interpreted this album after you watched this review. But without further ado, let's get right into it. She said, I'm out the deal. Tay-Tay say I'm indie on the out the deal, folk. Willow, Evermore.
Rough on the surface, but you cut through like a knife. The more that you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I follow.
Willow, I can tell right off the bat this is going to be a very personal and vulnerable album. The instrumental felt raw, stripped down, and it was a perfect canvas to open up and start a journey full of limitless possibilities.
You know that my train could take you home. Anywhere else is hollow.
What I got out of this is that certain experiences that Taylor may have went through while writing this album has helped shape her to adapt and go with the flow more. And that's what I gathered from this character who is taking this journey with this romantic interest, and she appears to be living in the moment, completely spontaneous and unplanned, and whatever happens along the journey, both good and bad, she's accepted it, and she's chalked it up as just another chapter to the story. One of the lyrics that stuck out to me was, rough on the surface, but you cut through like a knife. This character wants this relationship to work out so bad with this man, and he just simply isn't as invested in the relationship as much as she is. And he appears to be very indicative of a emotionally unavailable partner.
Life was a willow and it bent right to your window. They count me.
Life was a willow that bent right to your wind. They count me out time and time again, but I come back stronger than the 90s trend. And all I could think about when I heard this lyric is that life is very fragile, but it shapes us to be resilient. We aren't superhuman. We do feel things. We have feelings, but that isn't necessarily a weakness. In fact, I think of emotions as just the opposite. Feelings are the closest thing to superpowers that we have. And that segues to how I feel about this song, that there's power in vulnerability. In fact, I think that vulnerability is one of the more important components that has empowered Taylor with such a gift and knack for songwriting.
Begging for you to take my hand, wreck my plans, that's my man.
That was really good. I really like that. It's one of those songs I can get lost in. So I got to hear that a couple more times to kind of just grasp the feeling of it and all that. But it has a lot of emotion in it. So I understand that this album's going to be jam-packed with thoughtful music, thought-provoking music. So let's get right into it. Champagne Problems.
You booked the night train for a reason, so you could sit there in this hurt. My picture in your wallet, your heart was glass, I dropped it. Champagne Problems.
This song feels like a dysfunctional family reunion. It has a very somber feeling to it. And I think it's because of the minor chords that are in this record. The tempo and the pace of the song slows down just enough for Taylor, or the character she's role playing, to observe that life is falling apart around her. But it doesn't feel like the people around her know that she's being as observant as she is.
Love slipped beyond your reaches, and I couldn't give a reason. Champagne Problems. Don't think we'll say that word again, and soon they'll have the nerve to deck the halls that we once walked through.
But life is in complete shambles. Liquor spilling, secret spilling is very chaotic. But it didn't register to me how she was feeling directly. It was very little first person in this particular record. When I first heard this song, I felt like it could be building towards a broader experience or story.
But you'll find the real thing instead. She'll patch up your tapestry that I shred, and never leave you standing, crestfallen on the landing, with champagne problems. Her picture in your wallet, you won't remember all my champagne problems.
was an awkward moment or an awkward encounter or experience, and she experienced that herself from her point of view. That was an awkward night. It had to have been. Had to have been. There's a lot of emotion in that. I like that. I like that a lot.
I don't like a gold rush, gold rush. I don't like the falling, feels like flying till the bone crush.
Now, Gold Rush, this song is a bit faster in pace. I really love the harmonies on the song, and I really love the strings on the beginning of the record as well. Very enchanting, and it has a very angelic vibe to it, full of genuine emotion.
Twinkling eyes like sinking.
She has this adoration for a romantic interest, and I gather that the guy is very desirable. She's really falling for this guy, but I don't get the feeling that she likes that she's fallen this much for this guy. It almost feels like she doesn't like that a guy can make her feel the way she's feeling, and that's highlighted in the lyrics. I can't dare to dream about you anymore. I don't like that falling feels like flying to the bone crush. Everybody wants you, but I don't like a gold rush.
Everybody wants you, but I don't like a gold rush.
That's deep. That's the vulnerability I like, and it feels like there's this tug and pull of emotion to where she's still guarded, but she's certainly still invested in the situation as well. And to me, it also feels like she's attracted to the very same thing that she's afraid of.
My mind turns your life into folklore. I can't dare to dream about you anymore. So inviting, I almost jump in.
It's a very mature sounding album so far.
If I wanted to know who you were hanging with while I was gone, I would have asked you.
Now transitioning into the next song, "'Tis the Damn Season." I love the title of the song, and what I love most about the production is that it's very minimalist, so the lyrics and the writing have a better chance of cutting through and maintaining the listener's focus because the instrumental is so bare. But the foundation of the song appears to be her returning back to humble beginnings and reflecting back to an earlier stage in her life. I hear a lot of references back to her hometown, and the lyric that I latched on to was, "So I'll go back to LA and the so-called friends will write a book about me if I ever make it." Something to that degree. And that appears to be an extension of her true feelings, maybe reflecting back to an earlier stage in her own personal life as she was getting her career off the ground, or it could be just a form of escapism and a different world she's imagining with this particular character arc. But the song feels very nostalgic. It reminds me of the college kid who went to school out of their hometown and is returning back home for the holidays, back to her hometown love interest and back to some of the things that she's accustomed to before leaving. And she's returning back home to feel some sort of warmth and escapism and to just to lay low.
So we could call it even. You could call me babe for the weekend. 'Tis the damn season right this time. And it always leads to you in my hometown. I escaped it too. Remember how you watched me leave. Time flies, messy as the mud on your truck tires. Now I'm missing your smile, hear me out. Sleeping half the day, just for old time's sake. So I'll go back to LA, and the so-called friends who write books about me if I ever make it. And the heart I know I'm breaking is my own. We could call it even. I'll be yours for the weekend. 'Tis the damn season.
It always leads to you in my hometown. Damn.
You're so much older and wiser, and
Now, transitioning into the next song, "Tolerated." I'm a little bit more invested in the album at this point. I love the melody, I love the hook, and I love how she sounds vocally. And the lyrics that caught my attention were, "I know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it."
I know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it.
I made you my temple, my mural, my sky. Now I'm begging for footnotes in the story of your life. Oh my goodness. This felt like a story of someone who's giving out love but isn't much reciprocated. There isn't much reciprocity and she's being left out to dry. This sounds like a painful and unfulfilling love. I almost don't want to believe that a love could cut that deep. And all the cold-hearted and ugly truths are revealing itself at this point in the album.
What would you do if I break free and leave us in ruins? Gain the weight of you, then lose it. Believe me, I could do it.
I don't know if she's still committed or looking for a way out. I'll tell you what though, I am heavily invested. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, your boy Stilo is locked in. Oh Lord. Somebody gonna be crying real tears to this.
I sit and watch you.
Now the next song, Nobody No Crime. What an interesting name for a song title. And this definitely has that folk and country vibe to it. And some of the other songs on the album had more of a songwriter acoustic vibe to it. And that to me was a little bit more palatable because I'm not necessarily accustomed to listening to a lot of folk, and country is not really usually my vibe. So I don't necessarily have the range to critique this song. So instead of me critiquing this song, I just cue a clip of me vibing out to the song instead. Nobody No Crime. What a name for a song.
He did it. He did it. She says that ain't my Merlot on his mouth. That ain't my jewelry on our joint account. I think he did it, but I just can't prove it. I think he did it. No, he did it. I wasn't letting up until the day he died.
Written by Tay Tay solely. Tay Tay fans said, hey, show some respect. She write her songs. I said I apologize. I issued an apology to y'all early on. I said I apologize in the Reputation video, but it got blocked by UMG. I'm going to throw it back up soon, I promise. But I respect it. I understand now. She wrote her own songs, but she's very good at it. She's very talented. Okay, all right. Can we move on? Can we, give me a high five? No? Don't be like that. All right, let's go. Happiness. There'll be happiness after you. There was happiness because of you. Both of these things can be true. I had to start the review of this song off with those lyrics because it's a setup to a new beginning and also an ending to a lover situation that she once found solace in. It feels like a new rebirth.
But now I'm right down in it. All the years I've given is just in the disbelief. I can't face reinventions, past the curses and cries.
But a couple of lyrics that caught my attention were, after giving you the best I had, tell me what to give after that. And all you're expecting from me now is the green light of forgiveness.
Giving you the best I had, tell me what to give after that.
And it would appear to me that the character that Taylor is playing would be a little bit hurt, but she could also be accepting in the situation and now is ready to move on, and the partner she's with is expecting her to take the high road and have some forgiveness. And also she could be looking back on this relationship with fondness because there were good times in the relationship. Nothing is a better teacher of life than experience. She went on a little journey, didn't she? On this album, she went on a little journey. Dorothea.
Got shiny friends since you left town. A tiny screen's the only place I see you now.
Transitioning into the next song, Coney Island. This is a very heart-wrenching song, and some of these lyrics are deep beyond measure. Like, how do we get here so soon? Did I close my fists around something so delicate? This is the type of song you listen to with some wine while it rains, while you contemplate the one that got away. No? Just me? Okay.
Break my soul in two, looking for you, but you're right here. And it This is the long haul. How'd we get here so soon?
And the feature on this, The National, my man, I don't know what you went through or experienced in your life to say the following. The question pounds my head. What's a lifetime achievement if I push you to the edge? Oh my goodness. But this goes back to the point that I made on Willow, how life is so delicate and fragile, and experiences like these are enough to turn a heart cold and bitter.
Did I close my fist around something delicate? Did I shatter you? Sorry for not making you my centerfold. Disappointments, close your eyes and it gets colder and colder.
What's a lifetime of achievement?
Who the deuce is The National? No disrespect to that man. I just don't know him. You sound good so far though.
Will you forgive my soul when you're too wise to trust me and too old to care?
But I don't get a sense of hopelessness from this record, but instead I get forgiveness and balance and acceptance. And what I've learned over time is that forgiveness is an act of self-love. The act of forgiving and letting go and moving on, that is an act of self-love. And the theme of this song, the recurring theme at least, appears to be that life goes on. You continue to live life and experience. And this song feels cold, but it doesn't feel hollow. In fact, it feels like the character arc in the story is learning something, they're improving, they're growing, which reminds me of the quote that life doesn't necessarily get easier or better, but you get better as a person. You become a better lover, become a better partner, and just become better in whatever you're striving for. And that's the beauty in itself, that the hardships that you went through didn't kill you, it made you stronger.
Like the flash before me was your face when the sun goes down.
And then it transitions into Ivy. I feel the tempo continuing to get faster. The music is getting slightly brighter. I love the lyric, your touch brought forth an incandescent glow. I found a new word to add to my Rolodex, which is full of strong emotion and passion. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. It feels like a high that brings balance to the album, to the journey. There are peaks and then there are valleys in this album. The valleys represent the low points and the peaks represent the high points. This feels like a high point in the album more than a low point in the album. It feels like a period of redemption, and then it's begged and borrowed time. So tell me to run or dare to sit and watch what will become. Very suspenseful, and the character is constantly being pulled back into mess. Right when I think she's going to break free and perhaps latch on to something a little less toxic, that never quite materializes on this album. However, I love the lyric, stop you putting roots in my dreamland, my house of stone, your ivy grows, and now I'm covered in you.
He's gonna burn this house to the ground.
Gonna burn the whole crib to the ground? In holiday season? Yes, ma'am. I'm starting to think that maybe these are all just playing out like tales, merely fables, and maybe they aren't as personal as I imagine, and not necessarily an extension of her feelings, but her just getting lost in a different kind of world. But I had to feel like I had to come to the conclusion that these have to be an extension of her feelings, I presume.
Now I know I'm never gonna love again. And you asked me to dance, but I said dancing is a dangerous game.
Dancing is a dangerous game. Never heard that before. Okay. See, I got two left feet. I can't dance. So when somebody asks me to dance next time, when the clubs open back up, or when anything opens back up, when you dance again, I'm just look in her eyes and say, baby, dancing is a dangerous game. She gonna leave my ass watch.
Takes one to know one. You're a cowboy like me.
And now transitioning into the next song, long story short, I love the tempo of this song, but it's the lyrics that does it for me. For example, no more keeping score, now I just keep you warm, and my waves meet your shore, ever and evermore. I would say there's some high point in emotion for this character, to where there's some optimism that she will find peace, but how long will it last for? I love the detail in the songwriting on not just this song, but the album overall. It keeps it from becoming background music, because this character is going through a fearless pursuit of love that takes a lot of bravery, and she's continually having this tug and pull of emotion of her trying to find balance without her losing herself while she's dealing with these relationships.
Misery, like the war of words words I shouted in my sleep, and I fell from the pedestal right down the rabbit hole. Long story short, it was a bad time.
And I love how she ends the song with, long story short, it was a bad time. Long story short, I survived. This is definitely a go with the flow, you only live once kind of album. I have yet to hear this character refuse any part of this journey. It feels like she's always committed. She may be reluctant and a little guarded, definitely hurt in certain points on this album, but she's still committed.
Now I'm all about you. I'm all about
I like the swing in it. I like the flow of it, you know?
you. I pushed from the precipice, clung to the nearest lips. Long story short, it was the wrong guy.
Push from the precipice. That's the first, I think it's the first song I've ever heard the word precipice in a song. Yeah, that's unique. I like that. I had to open up this analysis of Marjorie with the lyrics. Never be so polite you forget your power. Never wield such power you forget to be polite. One can only come to that conclusion if they have been challenged by life. I don't think you come to that observation by staying in your comfort zone. And this entire album was an uncomfortable listen if you pay attention to the details. But if you decided to get lost in the music as a listener, it's beautiful music and it's eloquently written. It flows really well. But I was so overwhelmed by the story, I had a hard time of actually enjoying the music, if that makes sense. Don't get me wrong, it's great music. But the story became priority in the second half of the album and the music took a back seat. Usually the music and the story is like a marriage, but I felt a constant state of letting go, a series of divorces.
What died didn't stay dead. What died didn't stay dead. You're alive, so alive.
She gets a lot of clarity when she puts that pen to that paper. I feel like when she starts to like spitball and start to get the structure right and themes right for her songs, she has a lot of clarity. I don't know what she's experiencing these moments like in real time. I don't know if things are clouding her judgment, and then she gets back home and she's like, maybe I did feel like this. Maybe I didn't feel like this in the moment, but I feel like this now. That's what I get. And in closure, ironically, it felt like lack thereof. It certainly was a departure, but as a listener, I didn't feel closure. I felt there was more to the story, and this song feels like a continuation of a cycle. In a sense, it's calming, but balance has not been restored. But maybe it has been, because I get a sense of peace of mind at least. It was a fight for this character to achieve it. It didn't come easy, but now that I think about it, that is a form of closure, even if it's just for the moment until the next complicated journey arises. So there is short-term peace. And that might be closure after all, depending on how you look at it. I don't know why, but I like when songs are lowercase like this. I don't know why.
It wasn't right, the way it all went down. Looks like you know that now. Yes, I got your letter. Yes, I'm doing better. It cut deep to know ya, right to the bone. I know I'm just a winkle in your new life. Staying friends would iron it out so nice. But it's fake and it's oh so unnecessary. I don't need your closure, your closure.
Well, if you got my letter, shorty, at least just say, hey, I'm good. I don't know if she's saying that in her head, like, yes, I'm good, yes, I'm doing fine in her head, and not letting the guy know. I mean, it's not, you don't owe anybody closure if you're in a situation like that. You know, that's your right. But I don't know, I would like some, if I'm reaching out, and I still love you, girl, I still love you. I want to hear something. You know, you ain't got to tell me everything. I don't know, that's just me. Anyways, Evermore, Bon Iver. With Bon Iver, featuring Bon Iver. All the above.
Gray November, I've been down since July. Writing letters, addressed to the fire. I had a feeling so peculiar that this pain would be forevermore. I rewind the tape, but all it does is pause.
I like her tone on this. I like her vocal tone.
On the very moment all was lost.
Cannot think of all the cost and the things that will be lost.
Bon Iver came in strong. I like it.
And when I was shipwrecked, I thought of you.
Iver's losing his mind on this song.
I had a feeling so peculiar, this pain wouldn't be for evermore.
That's deep. She just let her emotions bleed on this album. My final thoughts on Taylor Swift's Evermore. I like it, even though I understand that this music isn't necessarily for me, for my palate. I can understand objectively that the songwriting is good and the music is good. I like the fact that the writing on this is intentional, is meticulous, it's well thought out. I can tell that it's very calculated and they went to this album with a lot of care and thought. And I love how there's a lot of intricacies and layers and there's peaks and valleys in the album, to where there's high points in emotion, there's low points in emotion. I love how cold the record feels without it feeling hollow. There's a lot of things I do like about the record. Yeah, there's a lot of great qualities of this album. Definitely challenging for me to pick apart and kind of just understand where she was coming from. I didn't know if this is her personal life or just an extension. I don't know if this duels as a continuation of Folklore, and I would definitely have to go back to Folklore because I'm missing a piece of the story. If so, which I'll definitely go back to do, and let me know. Like, share, and comment. Let me know if you want me to do a review for Folklore. If you don't want me to, I won't. You know what I'm saying? If you think this sucks, if you think I'm not making no sense, you know, I won't. But all in all, I like the album, and there's a lot to take away from it. So Taylor, good job on the album. You know, it's a journey for me to go through and listen to it and also critique it or review it. But that's gonna do it for this review. If you got this far in the review, I appreciate you. This has been Taylor Swift Evermore with Stilo. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you knew I already said it, but I gotta say it again. Hope you're protecting your inner peace. Hope you're working on your mental health. Understand every day above ground. It's a great day. If you woke up today, you got the win in my book, and we should all be grateful of that. But y'all take care. Oh, excuse me. I was very impolite. Excuse me. I'm gonna go and get up out of here. Big Steel, I'm out. Sweet.